Hello, and again, welcome to Bit Depth. I'm Santiago Ramones. Across from me is...
Sable.
She is my fiance.
Woo!
We're now engaged.
Officially, yes.
Which is about time.
We've actually been engaged now for a month.
Yeah, basically.
As of yesterday. But when this podcast comes out, it will be like a few days prior, but whatever.
Right.
But yeah, we've been engaged for a month now.
Mm-hmm.
After being together for 8 years?
Yes.
Yes.
So we're still going through the rigor and nonsense of trying to figure out how to plan a wedding and all that. So
It's fun though. I like it.
yeah, no, I like it too. Just sending each other stuff and telling each other ideas and what might work, and yeah. So
I mean,
stay tuned.
we still have like over a year, so we good.
Yeah.
We still have a whole podcast to record.
Yes.
The reason that, you wanted to record a podcast about...
Conspiracy theories, because that's like my new obsession right now. And I thought it was also just a good way to like publicly announce our engagement, if you will, since that's also when we're gonna like go about it like social media wise.
Yeah.
Since we've told everybody in person that we've wanted to talk to, or that we're able to get to, I guess I should say.
Right. So conspiracy theories.
Yes.
We should probably preface this by saying, like, these are just crazy internet hypotheses that don't have, like, some might have some factual basis, but, like, even us two discussing it, we're just...
It's just for fun.
Yeah, two people riffing on ideas, not even necessarily just...
No.
Ooh, this is the way that things are.
It's all plausible. That's
Right.
like what I always say. I did have kind of this like thought earlier. I guess like you can say conspiracy theories are like, at least what we talk about in our day and age, are no different than like the theories that like past philosophers had, because they're all theories.
Yeah, in a way. 'Cause...
It's just a modern theory or modern philosophy viewpoint, whatever.
Right. But at least nowadays, some are more provable than others.
Well, yeah, obviously. But again, we're just having fun conversation, expanding. It's just a philosophical theory conversation, whatever. It's not true. Also,
Just crazy people on the internet.
yes, I was going to say, I know I was the one that brought up this topic to talk about. So I do apologize if what I say is not correct. I'm going based off of just like videos that I've heard like on YouTube. I haven't been able to do a whole lot of research. So if you're listening and I'm wrong, I'm sorry ahead of
It's not
time.
like we believe most of these anyways.
No.
It's just stuff that is, hey, what if?
Yeah.
This is really just a big what if.
Yes.
Also, it'll be mostly you explaining conspiracies, and I'll be like, nah, that's bullshit.
You'll be the logical one out of the two of
Yeah.
us.
So I'll just be trying to bring in some thought and reason. but
Debunking.
Yeah, debunking, but also lending credit where there is actually some truth to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get started.
Okay. Well, okay. So I like wrote notes as I like, of course, listen to these videos. But we're gonna first start off with Mandela effect, since that's like the biggest craze right now.
So, what is the Mandela effect?
Mandela,
Mandela effect.
not Manila,
No, that's not what I said, but Mandela effect.
whatever.
Are we gonna have a Mandela effect with the word Mandela effect?
Well, it's based off of the man Mandela.
Yes, Nelson Mandela.
Yeah, but you pronounced it awkwardly, so
Mandela.
that's why I corrected you. So basically, from what I gathered, it's called Mandela effect from him because people thought that he had died at one point, but he really didn't, or like everyone was convinced that he died in prison or out of prison. It's like one or the other. So it's based off his death, basically. So that's where the term Mandela effect comes from, because it's people perceiving, remembering something specific in either one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically what a Mandela effect is for anyone who isn't aware of
Sort of
this thing.
like a mass social misremembering.
Yeah, basically. So, I'll get to like I guess I'll just go ahead and start with the most popular one. So the biggest one is the Berenstain Bears. Popular children's series that we all grew up with. Everyone is convinced that it's Berenstein. So Stein at the end of it.
Right.
But it's Stain. So Stain. And that's like been the biggest trip. Whenever you talk about Mandela effects, that's like basically the number one thing. So again, if you've already heard about it, I'm sorry, but like just explain it for anyone who hasn't heard of this. But a lot of people are convinced growing up that it was spelled with an E. And also, like, there were books. I think there was a TV show. I know there was toys, all this kind of stuff. Everyone was convinced it was spelled with an E. But like people are going back now and they're seeing that it's spelled with an A and now pronouncing it correctly as stain. And of course, like one of the YouTubers that I follow, like he's really big into conspiracy theories and everything. Like that's part of his channel. But like, of course, he's like time to traveler or something. And it's like, sure, let's go with that fun thing. But like it could also, in my kind of like way of thinking it could be one of two things. It could be like everyone just pronounced it stain or steen, sorry, growing up. And so you hear that and you mentally think, okay, how is that spelled? And so your mind logically puts an E in there. Especially if like the creators or something didn't outright come out and say it's pronounced this way. So everyone mispronounced it. Everyone thought in their mind it's an E. And then like now everyone's like, wait a minute. Why is it spelled this way? Why is it pronounced this way? So that's kind of my logic of it.
Can you explain the time travel one?
Well, the time travel is like, I think from what he said, it's like the butterfly effect. Like he, like the time traveler, or whoever, whatever it is, like is the butterfly effect of like someone went back in time, maybe like changed the spelling or like did something that caused the spelling to change, whatever. I don't know. But it's probably the number one topic of Mandela effect is the Berenstain Bears. And if it was an E or an A, there are a lot of people that are coming out, photographing all their stuff that they owned. I never cared for that series growing up. I remember it, but like I can't picture the name from growing up.
Right.
But people are showing it's spelled with an A, but like then there is a few people that come out and say like, no, look, here it is with an E, you know. But like in this day and age, you do have to wonder, is it real? Is it photoshopped? You know, and I do love Mandela effects. I think they're kind of fun, but like there comes a point where I view it and I'm like, okay, how realistic is this? Is it photoshopped? Because as a graphic designer, I know what goes into making an image look real. Especially if it's like a grainy image, you can do effects to make it all look consistent, whatever. So like, it's really, really hard for stuff like that to like make me 100% believe it.
Right.
With that being said, kind of transitioning into some of the other Mandela effects. So again, hopping onto the graphic design portion of it, one of the other Mandela effects are logos. And so, okay, so here's like a few of them. And I'm going to ask you because I'm curious. And like for those of you listening, like I want you to also think about these logos and like you mentally think like, okay, like what is it? So Fruit Loops. How do you think it's spelled?
I mean, for me, in my mind's eye, I see two O's, F-R-O-O-T.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure that is the effect that people misremember it as Fruit, or am I misremembering it?
Well, okay, this one in particular, like this is showing like old and current, I guess, like things. Um, I, I guess, of course, like they're not gonna show like what it used to be or whatever, but supposedly, like for Fruit Loops, it's two O's. But I guess people thought it was fruit, like the actual word fruit.
Yeah.
So that's like one of them. And thinking back, I'm like, was it spelled fruit? I don't think it ever was. I think
No.
because it's clever, so to use the two O's
you
for their cereal.
O-based cereal. Why wasted that marketing potential?
Right. Another one, Captain Crunch. How was that spelled?
Since I'm also like metagaming a little bit. So I'm like, are they both spelled with K's or both spelled with C's? So my guess would be spelled with K's for marketing purposes. But I'm sure people remember it spelled with a C.
It's always been a C.
Oh,
For one thing, but
okay,
that's not
there you go.
well, that's actually not it. Was it Captain fully spelled out, or was it the hyphenated Captain?
Or like the abbreviated.
Yeah, abbreviated, sorry.
My mind's eye says the full word.
No, currently it's the hyphenated.
Or abbreviated.
Abbreviated, God, sorry. No, I guess like the old one was fully spelled out, but now it's CAP apostrophe N for Captain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do like another one. Big ramen noodle brand. I want to see like what you say. What the name is.
Maruchan?
No. It's in a...
What? Cup noodles?
Mm-hmm. Is it that?
It's probably cup noodle, like singular.
That's really interesting.
Is
that the name of the brand?
No, it's Nissin. Nissin.
Well, okay.
I really like ramen, so I'm a trash vacuum.
Well, you were kind of on the right track when you said cup noodle.
What is it?
It's cup noodles.
Okay.
But people remember being cup o noodles.
Oh, that's dumber. People's memories are dumb.
So to kind of continue the process.
Everyone else is dumb but me.
Oh my God.
As
no.
Bender would say.
Stop it. Okay, I want to do another one because I'm like really curious. Febreze. How you spell that?
Febreze.
Nope. It's only Febreze.
Oh. Okay.
But everyone remembers it like breeze.
Yeah.
So like that's like another one. And I'm even looking at this right now and I don't even like that doesn't even look right to me.
Right.
But I don't know if that's Mandela effect or if that's just like no, breeze is spelled with like 3 E's. Mm-hmm. So it's like what is it?
So go ahead.
No, I'm like looking at one and I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, that's just a marketing one there. Okay, anyway, sorry. So like a few other ones to continue it. I guess a recent one is Chick-fil-A. Like, how is it spelled? People for some reason think that there wasn't a K
in chick.
But that doesn't make sense because then it'd either be chic or chick, like a girl, like hey chick, whatever. At least like when I think of that. But no, I've always remembered there being a K. Kit Kat, does it have the hyphen or not? It does not right now. But so
it could have in the past.
It could have it in the past.
I'm remembering a hyphen.
Coca-Cola, the dash size is apparently a thing. If it was like the bigger one or the smaller one, which is the smaller one now.
Yeah, like a tiny dash.
The Laughing Cow, I think I think having to do with like
If she
the
had a
earring.
bow, or
The nose ring, yeah.
Yeah.
Which do you remember?
I thought she did, but apparently not.
Nope,
Yeah.
she never did. It's always like just the earrings, because like if it's a cow, you don't need a ring because that usually signified a bull.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but all that aside,
Right.
so those are fun. You can always look them up.
Yeah.
But from a designer standpoint, I can't fully say those count because in the graphic design world and with marketing and everything, you can have one look like when the company started.
Mm-hmm.
And so like Coca-Cola, we'll start with them. They might have started out with a big dash. I don't remember, unless like we look at antique shops and find old products.
Right.
But like if we compared to something like from an antique shop to like something you find at Walmart, you'll probably find a change. And that's not like time travel or whatever. It's marketing. It's upgrading your logo to fit with the times and
Logos
everything.
change over time.
Yeah. Because companies want something new. They want something fresh. I had to do this with a client where they either are doing a new name, so I had to change their look, or say a company isn't doing very well because maybe they've stuck with the same look for so long that people are just kind of like meh about it, or like it doesn't bring in enough like traffic. And so they're like, we need to do something to bring more people in. So let's have a hip new look and up to date and all that fun stuff. And that's what that is.
Yeah.
It's not a Mandela effect. It's a company marketing thing.
Yeah.
So certain ones like those, I don't believe in.
Yeah. Can
I-
I provide some?
Go for it, because I'm seeing what this other thing is.
So the thing with Mandela effect is that it's a little bit less a conspiracy and more just as the definition or as the wording says, effect.
Yeah.
It's an effect. It's a social, like, mass misremembering.
Yeah.
And so my explanation, and this is just like the explanation, I guess, is that people have terrible memories. And we may sort of like count on, like my memory and like, I'm so sure about this. But there's a revisionist history podcast that two of them that talk about just how bad our memory really is.
But I just find it fascinating, like the fact of the matter that so many people are on the same page. And that's what fascinates me about Mandela effect. It's like, it's one thing if it's maybe like a few people, perhaps, but like, and I don't know, like on a global scale about like some of these, because these are majority of a lot of these are like American made or whatever.
Sure.
Or they're more known here. But I don't know, like to have like a bigger number of people remembering the exact same thing is fascinating. I think that's why like people are also equally fascinated about it, because it's like, why do we all remember it this one way?
Well, so I was getting to that as
Sorry.
well. We tend to follow archetypes.
Yeah.
And so with like something that you might lean a certain way, or a tendency, or a very detailed thing. So for example, like Kit Kat. Whatever your mind's eye produces whenever you see like the logo of Kit Kat, you just see like the big K's.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people would think to put a hyphen there.
Right.
And so it's just like a tendency for people to sort of remember it that way. Or like we talked about the Monopoly guy.
Yeah, that's
like
another one.
There's an archetypal image of what the Monopoly guy is, but the Monopoly guy doesn't have a monocle. But we remember the Monopoly guy having a monocle because it's like, oh, that's what that's supposed to be.
Well, right, because like it's interesting because again, the YouTuber that does the conspiracy theories, he was talking about, like, you see it in costumes is like the main thing where it kind of messes with people. And that's where I'm like, either that's just because the costume requires that, or like maybe whoever designed it, like misremembered it. So like the Monopoly Man, like you remember like basically bald head, but a top hat, the mustache. And then like a nice suit with tails. If there's tails, I don't know.
Yes.
Now I'm like, is that a Mandela effect?
I do specifically remember tails.
Yeah. But it's like, did he have a monocle? It's because, yeah, we do associate like super fancy, like, whoa, you know, like he needs a monocle. And like costume stores will have that, include that. And so I think, again, that's the designer being like, did he have one or no? But like, maybe it might add to the costume. Another one, because the YouTuber was saying like, he remembers Mickey Mouse having red suspenders when he was growing up, because he had like a toy or like a doll, and like supposedly he had like red suspenders, like with his red shorts. And like when he talked about that, I was like, no, he never did. It's always been the really awkward kind of thing. Like Mickey and Minnie were always technically topless, if you think about it. While like Donald and Daisy were bottomless. And then Goofy was like the only one that was fully clothed for the most, I think like most recently he just has his vest now, which is weird.
Don't think too hard about Pluto.
Right. Just his collar. But
Well,
like,
I mean the fact that Pluto's a dog.
yeah,
Goofy's a dog.
I know that's like the other thing that's like really weird. But anyway, but like for Mickey having red suspenders for a costume makes sense, because it's like, well, how are you going to hold up those pants? Because it's like like a weird onesie bodysuit looking kind of stupid thing. And it's like, well, you need suspenders to keep it up.
Right.
So like that makes sense.
Also, there's like 2 buttons there. Like, what are those buttons there for?
Right.
So,
Well, also, like I've seen where the buttons are in the front, but there might be ones in the back. But that's also through the old cartoons. So either they're in the front or in the back. Who knows? I mean, their gloves also kept changing colors all the time. So
yeah, and that's another thing, is that that stuff does change over time. So like my 3 basic explanations is people have shitty memory. We tend to veer towards archetypes and stereotypes. And then stuff actually does change over time.
Yeah. Because actually Cuphead, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Game
Cuphead
Theorists
was,
talked about it, where like they like made a nod to the old cartoons, like with the colors of the gloves, constantly changing.
Cuphead was intentionally doing that.
No, I know. That's why I'm bringing it up, because like now we know, looking back at those old animation studios, they weren't consistent. And I don't know if it was
referencing that.
Yeah, I don't know if that was just like supply like shortages, or like people just weren't communicating, or just miscoloration, mislabeling, or like something.
Or Mandela effect itself, that one person gave, a character yellow gloves, and then or yellow shoes, and then once it gets to the next person, it's just like, oh yeah, he definitely has white shoes. And so it's just little things like that. That might change over time, just because people remember badly.
Yeah. So that's Mandela effect. Something very fun. Again, not super conspiracy theory-ish, but I mean, I guess you can kind of fit it in the umbrella of conspiracy theories, because it's like, oh, like what could be contributing to all those?
What's next?
Government. No. It's always the government. That's always the answer to everything. No. Okay, so now we're getting to the actual conspiracy theories, and I just kind of made a short list due to time, and also because did not research as much as I should have, and I'm sorry. So I'm going to be kind of talking about 4 main topics with companies. So there's just a few things there. Government. I had the category of other, so it's just like random ones that I found interesting. And then like I wanted to end a big one with life. because I want to like actually talk about it. I think it'd be really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll start with companies. So I really only have like 2 company conspiracy theories. And I'm not meaning to drag on these companies or anything. This is all just for fun. Please don't get me in trouble.
No, that's right.
Okay, so this is one that I talked to you about the other night, about how lip balm companies like put microscopic glass into their products, so that way it forces you to buy their product. So like everyone's heard that like Carmex is the one that does put like shards of glass in their products or whatnot. So like that's probably like the more known one. I don't know how true it is. I don't use it personally. Plus I'm also just like cheap, so I go for like the dollar one. But people like have this theory of like using fiberglass since it's like kind of soft until like you actually like rub over it, or like I don't know, you actually come into contact with it more. And
If you've
it's
never
like,
had fiberglass on your body before, it's just like it's not quite as painful as like stabbing, but it's also more irritating than just like a normal itch.
well,
like-
it feels like it never comes off.
Right.
At least for,
'Cause
like, a
you
few
can't
days.
just like rub it off. So it's somewhere in there in between like itchy and painful.
Yeah. And so people theorize that these like companies will put like like bits of like maybe like fiberglass into their products, because when this YouTuber was talking about it, I like was mentally thinking I haven't applied like lip balm in a while, or chapstick is what I should say, in a while, and I feel fine. You know, I feel perfectly fine, but like you use it all the time, so like correct me if I'm wrong, but like when you use it, like it works for a little bit, and then after a while you're like, oh, I really need to use it. Like, isn't that the case?
Yeah.
So like that's how they get you, is like you think you need it like when you really don't, and so you apply it, and then it just makes it worse. And the more you apply it, the worse like your lips feel, and that's where they get you. So it's like you're constantly using it, you run out, hey, I need more.
Right.
You know. And I kind of believe it. Like I'm probably like 55% like, oh yeah, like that could be something that could actually happen, because that's just how companies work nowadays, where they do little maneuvers like that to cause you to buy their products. It's I will always remember this in the old show Sister Sisters with Tia and Tamara. I think it was Tamara that learned from her uncle how to sell a product without having to give away your full like supply. So she was selling, I think, like perfume, or was it perfume? No. It wasn't perfume. It was like a beverage. And her uncle showed her, like, he poured half of this like juice or whatever, or punch, into one container. And so it was only half full. And then he went to the faucet and filled it with water, shook it up, and he's like, there, now you've like doubled your stock basically, or whatever.
Right.
And I believe that, because that is a way for companies or anyone who sells anything to make money, is like not giving away 100% of your actual product, but maybe like half of it, you know?
Or just diluting it to hell.
Yeah, exactly. But like people will still buy it because they believe that they're getting the full 100% of like that beverage or something. So why wouldn't other companies do that?
Right.
You know, it's kind of like, and still relating to that episode, he suggested to her, sell like pretzels or like a salty snack, because if they eat that, they'll come back and want your drink. So like when you go to like movie theater, their popcorn is maybe like overly salted because they're like, oh, we want you to buy like our drink that's like $5. So here you go. You know, it's that kind of thing.
Right.
So
but then it's also even more exclusivity with like, hey, you can't have any food or drink in the theater, but
Yeah.
also our food and drink in the theater is like $15.
yeah, but people sneak other food in anyway. So it's
Right.
like, even the theater people know.
No,
It's
yeah.
like, at this point, everyone knows that like everything is already kind of there. So like,
Yeah.
so
Screw you. I'm not paying $15 for a drink.
right. So I don't know like why anyone's like trying to hide it or whatever, or pretend like, oh, like I didn't know that they would bring in like a hot dog or something. I don't know. I think I knew a guy that like bragged about that he brought in like KFC in his like pockets of his pants, the cargo pants or whatever. And I'm like, how'd you get away with that?
Excessive.
That's, like,
and a little
disgusting.
gross, yeah.
But like, anyway. So moving along.
Can I provide like an answer to the chapstick one?
Of course.
So I would say that it wouldn't necessarily be like glass or fiberglass or whatever. But really just more of like a chemical thing. As someone who does use chapstick all the freaking time, hashtag ad.
Well, you're not saying the brand that you use.
Chapstick is a brand.
Oh, duh. Okay, never mind. Thought it was called something else for some reason.
But I do feel that sort of like dependence on it. And it could be that they're putting chemicals or whatever it might be to irritate your lips or have your lips be like dependent on it. Or it could just be actually that your body adapts to this sort of treatment. And so it's like, oh, you're moisturizing lips. I don't need to do this anymore. And so your body itself actually becomes dependent on it. It could be like a after the fact sort of thing rather than a like beforehand sort of thing.
Right. So then I will raise you another question. Or point, whatever. So is it like chemicals as in like it's bad for you kind of chemicals, or is it kind of like neosporin kind of type things because it's healing your cracked lips, right? And so like when you apply like any sort of antibacterial ointment, whether it's spray, cream, whatever, onto say like a wound, it hurts. Or like even like hand sanitizer, it
Right.
burns the cut. So would you technically say it's kind of like that maybe?
No, I mean, depending on what it is that you're using, I use chapstick. It never hurts. It never burns whenever I apply it. It like only feels good whenever I put on chapstick.
But you don't have like a burning sensation or anything
There's no tingling.
later?
There's nothing.
Nothing? Okay.
With Carmex and Blistex, there is like a burning sensation or like a tingling. And so those are probably ones that you should be suspicious of.
Yeah.
Because it's like if you're trying to moisturize your lips, it's really just like putting water on your lips. Why does it need to tingle? Why does it need to burn?
All right.
So, yeah.
Well, then my solution is just make your own.
Or drink lots of water.
Well, the only problem is like when winter, because that's when like probably more people buy them. And we're lingering on this topic way too long.
Right.
But final point. That's when probably most chapsticks are bought. So, I mean, you can't just put water on your lips because they'll freeze. But like...
No, but drinking water means that your body has enough water in it to moisturize yourself like completely.
Okay, fair enough.
And so more of the reason, again, we're dwelling on this too long, but more of the reason as to why people have drier skin or whatever during winter is because like, oh, it's cold. I don't need to drink water.
Right.
But
They
you
need
still
to.
need to drink water.
Right.
But since it's not hot, you're not like, ooh, I'm thirsty, but drink more water.
Right.
That'll solve all your problems.
Just water. Always water. Okay. So the other company theory, again, not meaning to drag. So this is one some people have theorized. This one I'm on the fence about too, but like I'll kind of explain like why I don't 100% believe it, but Starbucks. Everyone who goes to Starbucks, you know, you get your name, and there's like, it's, I don't know if it's a meme at this point or just like they always misspell your name. You and I have not so common names, at least here. So, and you don't even drink coffee, so like I'm not even counting you at this point. But like for me, when I do go, and I've naturally I do this all the time with my name. I always spell out my name to people that have to write a name on a cup because I know my name is not common. So it's not rare, but it's not common. So
It's also short enough that you can spell it in a timely manner.
yeah,
I'm not going to be like Santiago.
right, exactly.
Really difficult.
Exactly. But the theory is Starbucks, whenever they hire their baristas, like they tell them, oh, like misspell names as much as possible, because at this point people will like take a picture of it and post it on social media and be like, look at how they misspelled my name, because that's free advertisement right there. But I'm also like, okay, so that's like maybe one form of free advertisement, but you still get free advertisement because people are always like, look at this Starbucks cup that I got, or look how pretty this is made, or just like a selfie. Like, and I've done this with the girls where we've taken a selfie outside of Starbucks while drinking our coffees. And it's like, they're still going to get it no matter what, regardless if the name is misspelled or not. But that's the theory of like why the names get misspelled. So like people will say they get like a random letter in their name that doesn't make sense or like any of that. So that's just a theory. Real quick, I personally feel it's more of just they don't hear very well. So like Matty, yeah, constantly. And then like the music and whatever. So like Matty, it's spelled with 2 T's, but they always do 2 D's.
Right.
And then depending on who the barista is, will say a Y at the end, or I or IE or whatever.
Right.
So like it depends on the person.
Yeah.
And like I can also
Maddie is usually short for something.
Yeah.
I had Madison Llewellyn recently on, and she goes by Maddie.
Exactly.
With a D.
Yeah. Or like Megan, there's like, 3-4 ways to spell Megan?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just depends on the person. Like, depending on how they know how to spell the name and also what they hear. Because, like, we all hear differently, and we can all hear something and think it's something else. You know, and also, like, nowadays, people have, like, crazy spelling names because their parents are like, I want to be different, and I want to have my child have, like, a really crazy name. Like... And I'm not dragging anybody who, like, has done that, but I'm just saying, huh?
I am.
What?
Dragging people who, like,
oh, okay.
add Lynn at the end of every single name.
But you know what I mean? Like, we're living in a day and age where it's like, we don't have just the generic names anymore. Like, Jason and Brittany, you know, now it's like really extravagant or really abstract or whatever. I mean, we've talked about wanting to have kids and naming them after constellations and everything. So like it's out there. So it's like, how do I spell this one name when maybe it's really easy?
Right.
You know, but I digress. So again, it's Starbucks using free publicity through misspellings of customers' names.
Right. So my answer to that, I actually think the social media thing is actually a good explanation for it, and I actually wouldn't put it past a company like Starbucks.
Oh no, I wouldn't either.
Do something like that. So that's actually more plausible. And then, but like you said, like the whole selfie thing, like people take selfies with their drinks anyways. That's more of like after the fact. Like Starbucks became a giant monolithic company, and then people continue to take selfies. So that's kind of another way that Starbucks's propaganda campaign has worked. And so like this idea of the basic bitch going to Starbucks and like putting whole lots of sugar and taking pictures with her coffee. Like that propaganda campaign was successful.
Yeah, like I feel like with Starbucks in particular, and like with other companies, it's also the same. But like it starts to become a stereotype. So like when you think of Starbucks, it used to be like the really cool kid that was off in the corner, like on his laptop, or like I don't know why, but I think like berets and like turtlenecks and all black, like coffee shop kind of people. France, yes. But like nowadays, it's like the YouTuber or like the Valley Girl or just like someone who has like their nails like ridiculously long and overdone and they have the fake tan and blah, 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 blah. So like it's almost become a stereotype now when I think of Starbucks because I kind of remember when it first came out and like,
I mean, they've been around a while, but whenever they got popular.
Yeah. But my thought, and I just now it came to me, but like, so remember a few like Christmases ago with the whole like red cup thing? I don't know if that was on purpose or not. And this isn't a conspiracy. This is just like thinking out loud. I don't know if that was on purpose of Starbucks. Maybe they were just like, hey, we're just giving you this red cup and you can draw on it. I think that's what it originally was. But like everyone lost their shit over it. Like, oh my God, like why is it just red? And like, oh, like get over yourself. It's a cup. Like they were just doing it so that way you could draw on it.
Take a tip from Donald Trump.
Oh God.
Bad publicity is publicity.
It is. And I mean, yeah, that is actually very true because you somehow always remember like the worst advertisement, which kind of sucks in a way. Like the people that do like really good advertisement, like they put so much work into effort into it. But like if you compare that to like one that's done like really, really bad or like gets like a lot of fame over it, I know the other one like definitely gets more views or remembered more. But so there's that one.
So let me go a little bit 9/11 here. If you haven't seen the first Zeitgeist documentary, yeah, it's a little cheesy and a little, there are places where it's like a stretch, but they provide a lot of information that just present information that goes, hey, look, this may not be the usual narrative that we're getting.
Right. That we're being misled.
Yes.
To believe one thing.
The Zeitgeist documentary talked about 9/11, but also talked about like Jesus and blah, blah, blah. So, but at least with 9/11, the common narrative is there were some terrorists, they hijacked some planes, and they decided to crash them into the World Trade Center. It was orchestrated by Osama bin Laden, and so then we went and we invaded Iraq because of that.
Started almost World War III. I mean, back then, I think that was World War III-ish.
But now there's just enough shady information to not necessarily to say whether or not, oh, the government did 9/11 or the government didn't do 9/11. It's more just to say we're not being told the truth. We haven't been told the truth.
Right.
The first of all, which is basically a meme now, jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's funny and it's a meme and blah, blah, blah. But like jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
Science.
Yeah.
Can I add?
Yeah, go for it.
So like another scientific, I guess you can go ahead and say fact. Like they've done an experiment to show it. When a plane is like traveling at the speed that it's going, and if it collides into like a solid object, it doesn't go through it. It literally like disintegrates.
Yeah.
So for those that remember seeing the footage or have seen the footage, if it's like out there, everyone is told the plane goes through. I don't remember if it like one one building out it and then goes to the other. I don't remember. But I do remember everyone saying the plane went through. That's not possible. And I understand like a lot of it's glass, but like, well, and also in the experiment, I think it was like super solid. So like concrete kind of stuff, like no windows, nothing else.
So,
but it still shouldn't have gone through all the way.
It didn't go through all the way.
Okay.
But that's kind of like, to take the conspiracy theory to that length would include like, oh, they tampered with footage or all the news coverage was fake, and I think that's too much of a stretch.
Well, there is the theory that the planes were CG'd.
No, that's a stretch. People saw it.
I know.
People were there. Like it was
that witnessed
long enough ago that we can remember. We can all remember when it was, and so it's like,
yeah,
no, people saw it. But jet fuel can't melt steel beams. There was thermite. There were explosions. Everyone said that they heard explosions, not even necessarily an impact, but explosions.
There are videos out there on YouTube of like people that have uploaded videos and you can hear explosions. And if you look at the footage, you can see remnants of explosions happening. There's one, I think, where they say like the explosion went off too early before the plane hit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And
supposedly,
you can see explosions of it like falling and early explosions, if you will.
people that worked there even said that they remember hearing explosions.
Yes. And then just the fact that it fell down like a controlled demolition.
Yeah. So you can always compare the two of those.
Yeah, and
as
that's
well.
very easy to just side by side look at the footage of
Yeah.
the World Trade Center falling. And then there's the whole the plane that crashed into the Pentagon. They seized all the footage surrounding the Pentagon.
Especially in that one area, right?
Yes.
And also when you look at the entry, like the crash entry, isn't it like too small for a plane
it's too small
anyway?
for a plane.
Yeah.
So
and
it's
also like where is the plane? Didn't they say like they couldn't even find it?
there was nothing.
Yeah.
Shady business. Right. So again, I'm not saying like, oh, the government did it or whatever. It's just like, oh, and then the third plane, which was over Pennsylvania, there was another plane that was hijacked over Pennsylvania because
Wouldn't that be the fourth? Because I thought there were two.
Well, there was there were two in New York, one at the Pentagon, and another at Pennsylvania,
so quote unquote,
and then,
fourth.
World Trade Center 9, I believe, or 8 or something like that, burned down at the same time.
Interesting.
But nobody remembers that. But the plane in Pennsylvania, they said that like it was hijacked, and then the passengers like stopped the hijackers and then crashed it in a field. But they looked at that wreckage in the field, and it was just like as though someone had just thrown scrap metal in a field.
Right.
So yeah, again, I'm not saying that the government
I do want to add real quick.
Go for it.
Okay. I'll just go ahead and like say it now. I was going to probably wait till the end, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and just credit the YouTuber I've been referring to, Shane Dawson.
Yeah,
love you. But like he did a video and he's done ones over 9/11, and maybe it is the government, maybe it's not. I don't know. I don't know who's in charge of all of it, but like he did bring up a very valid point, which again leans me over to the side of that it was all staged, that we've been seeing signs of it happening for years and never really realized it. The cartoons for the most thing. Yeah. So like 90s kids, apparently there was like a movie poster in Johnny Bravo where it's the two towers and they're on fire. And this that one was like the closest one because I think that episode was released like that year before actual 9/11.
Yeah.
There have been other countless ones. I can't remember all of them. There had been actually a cartoon from Warner Brothers, one of the Looney Tunes, where there's a character yelling, "Look, the towers, they're falling," because he's being over dramatic in the scene and like falling and fainting. But like he's referring to the towers at that time and that they're falling. And like maybe that one's kind of a stretch, but it is kind of like, well, that's almost too coincidental. I don't know. But there was like another ad that Shane referred to that it's not really propaganda, I don't think, but like arthritis, like hit it before it hits you kind of thing. And it's the two towers that have like an illustration of like leg bones and a plane getting ready to fly into it. And the plane is arthritis. And like that to me is really scary.
Right.
I really wish I could find it. I know it's in my papers somewhere of like schoolwork, but like there was this old prophecy that came out years and years and years ago, Islamic like prophecy about referring to like nations being rattled. And like a lot of people theorize like, oh, that's like 9/11 before it happened. But sorry, we're rambling on.
And I always have to inject some reason because, again, with conspiracy theories, you have to worry about not going too far. And so with the whole cartoon thing or seeing it in ads and stuff, I would say it's less so that, oh, they were planning it for a long time and getting people like used to seeing that so they're not in complete hysteria. I'd say it's more like people see the Twin Towers like that, and I'm sure everyone thought like, man, they're so huge. What if like a plane crashed into it? Like,
well, that's like the
kind of your immediate reaction to seeing something so
or is that
huge
what
like
they
that.
want you to think?
No, it's just like,
I know. But I mean,
that's
that's
plane crash into it.
Well, I know, but that's like what a lot of people would say, like, oh, is that like what they want you to think, you know, kind of thing. But I don't know how like premeditated this like was for whoever decided to set it up, if it was a setup or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So who knows?
But at least to finalize that, the narrative may not be exactly what they told us it is.
Right.
Whoever they is. All right, let's lightning round through chemtrails.
Okay. Okay. So thing two, when you're outside and you see a plane fly by and they leave like these streaks in the sky, right? So like, oh, hey, a plane flew by, because you can always tell. Well, a lot of people have been speaking up saying like they see multiple throughout the day. This is one I kind of want to research a little bit more on, because I don't know if like more happen in specific areas over others. Like I even looked outside, I didn't see any or anything. I guess maybe depending on where there's more traffic, like air traffic per se, like maybe you might see them more. Who knows? But so there's chemtrails, so chemical trails, or there's contrails, which are condensation. Yeah, condensation trails. So I guess like viewers, you can decide on which it is. But theorists have said they think it's chemical trails. And even like celebrities like Prince and a few other like recent celebrities believe that these are chemical trails that the government is dispersing through airplanes that are like dropping on like areas and are messing up with people. So they cause chemical reactions to people and other things. People believe that it's like government control or like climate change. Because a lot of people are thinking like, oh, there seems to be a lot more cancer that seems to be popping up. Maybe it's these chemical trails because like it's dispersing like in the atmosphere or like coming down on us. And like, what if it's getting in our food? What if it's like affecting like other things that we're not aware of? Because I forgot which celebrity it was, but like basically they were saying like when one of those happened, like everyone started like freaking out for no reason, like not freaking out like, oh my God, we're going to die, but like freaking out at each other, like for no rational reason. So like causing fights more or something. So it's like, is that a thing? You know, is it chemicals or is it condensation? Because like scientists have like shown like, oh, like and I didn't like write it down. But like again, condensation, like that's just what it is from the plane.
Mm-hmm.
But like when there's multiple that happen, that's when I start thinking like, is it chemicals? I mean, I wouldn't put it past anyone to like have that actually be a thing. I mean, we do the crop dusting on crops.
Yeah.
So like, why can't like a bigger plane do that as well for like a mass area?
Right.
And so that's where I'm like, is that a way to like weed off like the weak people or whatever, or like to kill off more people? Are we overpopulated? That's how they're killing us, whatever. But again, like if it's affecting people, it's affecting other things too.
My counterpoint to that is, how many people have to not know? How many people do have to know about like the chemicals that we're loading into the plane and blah blah blah.
Right.
And so it's a similar thing with like 9/11. Whenever people say like, oh, how could it have been the government? It's like you have to keep all of these people that are in on it from talking.
Right.
And so the more people that you get in on a conspiracy,
Unless
the
they just
harder-
hire like a certain number of people.
Right. But the more people that get in on a conspiracy, the harder it is to contain.
Right. No, that's fair.
And so, given the magnitude, given blah, 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 it's hard to make it so big and not be found out by now.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess my other thing would be like, how big is the actual plane that's up there? I mean, like, it doesn't have to be like a commercial airline. It could be like military size, if you will. You know, because we never really see the plane. We just see the streams afterwards. But I don't know. Again, that one I'm 50-50 on, primarily because I can believe that can be something that could happen, especially since like I love dystopian like literature. That is like a prime thing that how to control the masses, like chemicals, stuff in water, stuff in your food, mind control, you know. So like textbook like villainy right there almost. So flat earth theory.
So
We'll do
talking
that.
about flat earth.
Okay. So again, this is just a theory. I'm still kind of like processing it personally, so I don't know exactly what I believe yet. But so the theory is we don't live on a sphere. It's like a flat surface, a plane. Shane's brother said like planet is just plane with a T at the end of it, which is interesting. I need to listen to his stuff. Anyway, so yeah, we're just like on a flat surface surrounded by ice. So like the reason why we have an ice wall, because Antarctica, which is what we know to be at the very bottom, and then like North Pole at the very top. So that's where our ice caps are. I also understand, scientifically speaking, well, like if the Earth is round, we're on an axis, and those 2 points are always going to be the furthest from the sun, so they're the coldest. Supposedly, because we're tilted on our axis, whatever. Yes. But ice caps are melting, whatever. But those places people can't really like go to and be able to survive for long periods of time. I don't even know what the population is of the scientists that are down in Antarctica right now anyway, but like it's very, very small. So people who believe in the flat earth theory is that it's a giant wall of ice that's keeping us out. And if excuse me. And if you try to like go near it, it's kind of like Area 51. Like they try and like take you away from it. Planes don't fly over it. But I'm like, why would you want to fly over it anyway? If there's like bad weather down there, you don't want to get stranded in snow. So like flight patterns, that's another thing. Like they don't make sense. Like if you were to map it out on a globe, like what you see in schools, if you map it out, like some patterns don't make sense. At least when it's round, but if it's flat, it makes more sense. So like there's those. There's the whole like, why don't we see a curve in the horizon?
Mhm.
No matter how high you are, rather you're just standing on your own, like however tall you are, you're looking out at a horizon and you can see it. It's not curved. It's purely flat. Even when you're up in like an airplane, it's pretty much flat. But of course, when you're up there, it's like you just see clouds unless you're taking off. Or if you're in a hot air balloon, which don't necessarily go above the clouds, it's still
If you go
flat.
above the clouds, you won't be able to breathe. But yeah.
Yeah. So that's like one of the big ones that a lot of these flat earthers, as they're called, will bring to the table. With some of the big international or global or whatever companies that are out there. Okay, United Nations, International Maritime Organization, World Meteorological Organization, all these other organizations, right? You look at their logos and it's around map, circle, whatever, and then it has like all of the continents on it. And like they brought that up and they're like, look, like even they're saying it's flat earth. But I'm like, no.
You just can see all of the continents from.
Well, that you can see all of it, but I put
Australia.
it. No, you can see it. But I only say, well, if it's a bunch of nations coming together, they're not all gonna like the idea of only one side of the earth being represented.
Right.
So just make everybody happy. Just put everything on one circle. There you go. So that's my only like rebuttal, I guess, about it. So like other points that kind of in my research of it is like, so if we're on this flat surface, why do we have arched rainbows? You know, so there's like that theory, or okay, like don't we need something to trap gravity or the like moisture of the earth to create like different weather? So like if earth is technically this huge ball of like gases, hot lava, whatever, referring to Steven Universe, so using a pot that's on the stove, like steam comes off of it, right? And it just goes up. But if you put a lid over it, you see the condensation happening in it, which causes like the rain. Well, same thing applies to like the earth. Like if we're this huge pot, if you will, and in the center is our core, which is super hot, then we need some sort of lid to create like the moisture, condensation, whatever. And I'm sorry that I'm like super dumbing this down, but this is the best way to explain it in a timely manner. So like that leads to like the big topic of what it's called, the firmament. Firmament, which is basically this invisible dome that encircles the earth. Regardless if it's flat or round, whatever. It's referred to in world religions. Is this huge dome? It's been illustrated in all the religions and everything. I'm assuming that in the firmament, that's where we see all of our stars, our galaxies. Well, not galaxies. So like in our realm, the stars, the moon, whatever. But that still doesn't like explain to me, excuse me. So if what we know, so like all of our continents are on one side of this plane, what's on the underside? That's what I want to know.
It's just like when earthbenders kick up a piece of rock, like it's still like jaggedy or whatever. Yeah, that's what it is. Or a big ass turtle, depending who you're asking.
Exactly. So that was kind of always something I had wondered, or like in the Marvel movies of, is it Valhalla? that Thor lives in? No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, but
You know, like how they, like in the first movie, it showed
Asgard.
Asgard. Oh my God. Why am I saying Valhalla? Valhalla is the other one where they die. Asgard, where like you see going through the clouds, and I think there's like rock formations, and then the camera flips, and then you see like this horizon with all the beauty of Asgard. That's what I kind of envision, like when people talk about this. So it's just really interesting. Like I do understand like where a lot of people come from about it. Shane's brother primarily talked about how anytime you do try to do research about it, you're going to find tons of sites that try and debunk it or say like, you're crazy if you're looking into this. I think he said something along the lines that the government themselves created a website that calls himself like Flat Earth Society or something, like even trying to say like, you're crazy, like for looking into this. But like, I guess at that point, that's like government trying to control you to believe one thing, whatever, you know. Do I believe it? I'm kind of on the same boat as his brother. Like, I don't care if we're on a sphere or if we're on a plane. What I care about is our existence and like what we're doing now, what's going to happen. Like to the earth, you know, all this kind of stuff. But I guess like you could dive deeper into it of like those who go up into space. Like, is it all simulated? Like a lot of people believe like
all NASA footage is basically
CG.
CG.
Yeah, that it's all fake. I didn't watch it. I don't know if you watched it, the whole the Tesla being launched into space.
I saw clips.
Well, I guess apparently with that, like there was a moment where there was a glitch.
Yes.
And like you saw like basically like green screen kind of thing happening behind the car where it glitched out and it was like in this room and then it came back and you saw outer space or something. So like people believe that it wasn't even real kind of stuff. And so I don't know. It is kind of like, why are we being deceived of knowing what else is out there? But I guess then, and this can all be for like another conversation another time, but then it becomes like, why are we being deprived of knowing that there's more outside our realm of this earth? Because everyone believes that aliens are real, or like a majority of people believe that they're real. A lot of people believe like, I haven't seen them, but I believe that they're plausible because how can we be the only living things in this like galaxy or whatever? And if that's the case, like, because like Area 51 is super concealed. Cheryl and Tiger, I think, like kind of drove past it, and I remember she telling me that they like were very far away, and I think they were just having to stop and get gas. But like she remembers seeing like military cars like at the top of this ridge, because on the other side is where Area 51 would have been. And she got like the worst feeling, and she was like, we gotta go. Like, we're getting gas, but we need to go, kind of thing. So like, sure, if they're wanting to keep Area 51 a secret, or like, even though everyone knows that aliens are there, again, leading back to the like, everyone knows everything by this point, like nothing's super secret on certain things. But like, if we know that they're there, why are we being told like, this is what space looks like, this is what the earth looks like? Like, why are they keeping it from us? Is there like more out there where it's like control because they know these aliens will like either destroy us or like open our minds to everything else? I don't know. It's, I guess you can almost kind of say it's like a weird like Adam and Eve with the snake thing, where it's like you're being deprived of the truth, but like you can take a bite of the apple or you don't, kind of thing. And like,
Yeah.
does that make sense? I feel like that doesn't make sense. What?
Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. You weren't saying anything, so I wasn't sure. But anyway, so that's what Flat Earth is. feel free to look into it more. It's interesting. Again, do I believe it or not? I really don't. I might research into it more.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let
But
me say the stuff to debunk it.
go for it.
You yourself have a telescope. Maybe you don't personally own one, but you can get one. And then you can look out into space and see all the shit.
Yeah. Well, that's where the firmament could be, like what we see in our
Right.
galaxy is like in it,
Right. And then
supposedly. I don't know. I don't know if
the
that's
Tesla
true.
video isn't the only video of space.
Excuse me. Yeah.
There was, I think, a Red Bull thing where they had like a guy jump out of like the highest point. And so he like literally like you could see the Earth from that far away, and then he like jumped. Yeah. So I'd have to
don't know
look
about
more into
that.
it. Yeah. But like there's more than one video showing space and not space.
Again, just a lot of people are slowly not trusting NASA.
And then there's that was Red Bull.
NASA was, or
No,
Red Bull was
it
doing
was
NASA.
it was a Red Bull thing where the guy jumped out of the thing.
That doesn't really help because I have no idea
It
what you're
wasn't
talking
NASA,
about. Okay.
is what I'm saying. And then again, going back to like how many people have to be in on it. If more people are in on it, how many people are going to keep quiet about it? So the more people that are in on it, the harder it is to keep quiet. This is like an entire government level thing or an entire NASA level thing.
Yeah, but I think in this day and age, I think it is very plausible that like people can be told to be quiet. I mean, there are a lot of people that do come out about stuff like when they're literally on their deathbed because like as they're living, they know their lives are in danger, so they have to be quiet about it. Or they had to like write it down and keep it secret or something. Like I do think it's plausible that we do live in a society where like people that are higher up on the scale have like way more power and have way more resources than we are led on to where it's like they can keep a lot of people quiet.
Right. But it's also like it's super easy to be a whistleblower. Like
It is.
Edward Snowden is alive.
Yeah.
So like it's not like it's impossible. So
And I think he kind of started like a lot of Shane's stuff with like knowing that you're constantly spied on.
yeah. So I mean, and that's also partly because of 9/11.
Yeah.
So I'll sort of add the final thought to the whole conspiracy thing after this last one, which is
The life one?
life. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is something that's really interesting to me where, again, like what I said earlier, is like basically reincarnation in a way. I will say at one point in my life, I think I believed it. At one point, I didn't. This is like an interesting theory to me to where it's like I could believe it. So one of the stories Shane expressed was this woman in Thailand. She was dying and she said she wants to come back and be reincarnated. And so her daughter took like this white paint, made like this like mark on the back of her neck, of her mother's neck, to be like, okay, well, this way we'll know where to find you. Like if you have this mark in your other life. The woman dies, and shortly thereafter, like a child is born. So like her grandson is born. He has a birthmark that's same spot that the white mark was left on her.
Yeah.
And then like as he got older, I don't know if he like had memories, but he started going to things that were hers and said, this is mine. No, this is mine, kind of thing. And so they believe that she did come back. And kind of the fun thing about like birthmarks that was brought up was like if you have a certain birthmark, maybe that was like what was left from you when you died. So like you have a birthmark on like the lower part of your back. And like when I told you it, you were like, oh, maybe I got stabbed in the back or something.
Et tu brute.
Et tu brute. Yes. But then I'm like, well, what about the people that don't have birthmarks? Like, I don't have one.
That a natural death.
Yeah. So, like, what if it's just that,
Mm.
you know? And that leads to, like, so if that's the case of reincarnation or whatever, there's the light at the end of the tunnel that everyone talks about. Like, when you hear about death, like, oh, don't go towards the light or go towards the light or whatever.
Birth canal.
Yeah. What if that's just what it is? It's the continuation of like being reborn again. And the theory of like why you come out crying is because you're sad that you lost the life that you just had, all the people that you loved. And so as you're growing in this new life, you start forgetting your past life. But like you might have weird memories or like weird associations, like why you love certain things that don't make sense. Or like you start having just random memories that aren't even yours. And that's where the deja vu comes from. So I think that's like a really interesting like take on it. And then, so then that makes me think, okay, like, let's say all this is plausible. So are we just continuously living like
Just previous life.
yeah, are we constantly going in this never-ending cycle? You know what I mean? And then that leads to, is that just existence in general? You know, so like we've always been told you only live like one life. Well, what if we do live continuously and we just keep forgetting them? And is that just existence in general, or is that like a simulation? So Matrix,
Yes.
where they're like constantly wanting you to keep being under the simulation or whatever.
Sure.
So they keep you going through those cycles.
Um,
And then to further that, like, when does it stop? And is that where the heaven and hell, whatever comes from, no matter like what you believe in that, like that supposed afterlife,
sure.
if you will. So I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting. It's, I don't know, like, I still personally feel like reincarnation is plausible. That one is where I'm more like 70-30. Because there are a lot of cases that make sense, that could kind of maybe help it. Again, scientifically speaking, you can't prove it. But also it's something that's kind of talked about worldwide. So when I start to think if it's talked about all over the world, it had to come from somewhere. Kind of like how certain myths are the same on each continent, but slightly different. So like Game of Telephone. But then again, it does start questioning, like, is it existence? Is it simulation?
Right.
We never know because like no one has really been able to technically come back from the dead, except like the various few cases of like, I died, I saw God, and I came back, you know, kind of thing. Like, and I do believe like those people are pretty genuine when they talk about it, but like, I'm not that person. I'm not Jeff, you know, random person, Jeff, whatever. I don't know like what he saw. I don't know like what he felt. I don't know any of that.
Yeah.
So I am just going purely based on his word, just like you are going purely based on my word, or our viewers or your viewers are going based on our words. So it's just like, it's always hard when you're going just purely based on word when you can't experience it yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's,
Okay.
I don't know where else to lead from that.
So, again, just using science and logic to explain or disprove either direction.
Yeah.
So the birthmark story, I hate to just sort of like debunk it as anecdotal, but anecdotal. You can't use anecdotal evidence as scientific evidence because it has to be reproducible. So anecdotes are just, a story that you tell someone. It's just like one story that you say. as opposed to whenever you cite scientific evidence, you're using
Multiple.
a whole lot of recreations of experiments.
Well, I'm just giving the one example,
right,
though.
yeah.
There are other cases.
Yeah. And then the other part of like science and being not anecdotal is that the experiment has to be recreated the same way every time.
Yeah.
And so
That's kind of impossible.
yeah, exactly. Which is why some of these things are not able to be proved or disproved. Really.
Right.
And then the other part is like humanity has been trying to explain the afterlife in as many ways as possible, and this is just a blend of
I think it's like a fascination of humankind.
yeah.
Whether
well,
you're scared of it or you're fascinated by it, I think it's. I don't know if it was with you or if I heard it somewhere else, but like the living is constantly preparing for death while they're here, no matter what. Because like ancient Egyptians, they always prepared for when they died. So like what things would go in their tomb with them.
right.
But like even now, I guess you can kind of say, like we're preparing for death. Like if like the man of the house like dies, how is his family going to be taken care of after he's dead? So we're preparing for death, whether if it's our own or someone else's.
So this is sort of a counter conspiracy, if you will. Teaching people to believe that there is an afterlife or that there is more after you are alive is teaching them to play their life
To the fullest?
no,
Oh.
not to the fullest.
Oh.
Because it's like, oh, I have another one, it'll be fine. Or this isn't even my final form. So like I don't have to, strive to be the most ambitious. I don't have to blank. And so to be taught that like, oh, don't worry, you're not done yet, is teaching someone to not live their life to the fullest.
Right.
And so in a way you could say that it's like, oh, we're being taught to believe in reincarnation or believe in an afterlife so that we don't rise up and rebel and try and make a better life for ourselves right now. And so it's like a way of like keeping us at bay, because it's like, oh, don't worry, you'll get yours after you're dead. You'll get your 72 versions and you don't have to worry about like, suicide bombing right now because you'll be fine later. It's like, oh, cool, I got a terrorist attack out of that person and they won't, live to come back and realize that I didn't get my 72 versions. So that's sort of counter conspiracy that, oh, the people that are trying to control us, it is helpful for mind control purposes to make people think that there is an afterlife so that you don't live your life to the fullest. If you do believe that this is the only time that you're alive, it's like, oh man, we got to scramble. We got to do everything we can because I've nothing left. So I have to be ambitious. I have to strive to change the world because this is all I got.
Well, yeah, but I guess like, can you also say like, oh, this is your one life, don't like screw it up? Like, can that also technically be a way to control people to be like, oh, this is your only life, buy all these things?
High risk, high reward.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if it's high risk, maybe you will take more risk because this is the only chance that you get. Like if it's getting closer to the end of the night, you might bet a little bit more on this thing because this is your last chance.
Yeah.
So that's sort of my reasoning out of that. And then with simulation theory, given the way the technology has been going, it is more likely that we are living in a simulation than we are not. So like the probability of this being a simulation is higher than this just being normal reality.
Well, then like, because I never grew up with The Matrix. Like I remember it, but I never watched it until like last year. So like, then the question that I have is, when did the simulation happen? So like how ancient philosophers always said there's like this veil over our faces.
Mhm.
Did it start then? Or like, is it more recent?
Well, no. All of the universe has
It's a
always been a
simulation?
simulation.
So like from the beginning,
Yes.
basically.
And it's just
That's
like,
fair.
you know, some higher whatever, or humans still
That's why they don't want us to
in
go
a
to space.
computer or whatever, and they're just, oh, let's see about if you could watch a lot of Black Mirror as well, because they sort of explore this thing as well,
Mm-hmm.
that you could simulate life in a computer and go, ooh, how will this go? If we
Right.
go this way, what will happen that time?
Is that why they don't want us to go to space? Because like then that'll just break the simulation.
The simulation can handle all of the minutia of our daily life anyways, and all of the like tiny details and all of the everything.
Even if we go to Mars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It could also be procedurally generated, like No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky.
Oh, okay.
I
I was thinking Minecraft. I was like,
that too.
yeah.
Procedurally generated environments that are perfectly believable, and it's like, oh, cool, we're all just,
Mm-hmm.
you know, still going, but the simulation is just like, oh, they're going here now. Better populate Mars with resources and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The giant old video game.
That God is just playing. Or the
Yeah.
creator, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
We're all just a giant Sims game.
Yeah, in a way. And again, given the way that technology is, how much and how well we can compute, and given quantum computing happening soon enough, and artificial intelligence and all of that, it is just more likely that we live in a simulation than if we don't.
All right.
But then the other part that I was going to add, sort of the addendum to all of these conspiracy theories, is Occam's razor. Occam's razor basically dictates the most probable solution is usually the simplest one. So it's like, oh no, my pencil fell. Does that mean that like the government is watching me and they're trying to trick me into thinking that blah 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 and making my life worse by making my pencil fall? It's like, no, you left it on the edge of the thing and it rolled off. So Occam's razor dictates that the most probable explanation is usually the simplest one.
We're all just overthinking it.
Yeah. And it's fine. I mean, that's human brains, and we all try and explain different stuff and make up different stories. We anthropomorphize God, and we try and think of an explanation for why we haven't gone off the planet entirely, or why bad things happen, and we just try and explain things to ourselves. And sometimes it's a lot simpler. And then the other part is like,
I feel like it doesn't explain everything though, so I can't fully agree to that.
right. Well, this other part that I'm saying is the teapot problem. I think I might have explained it to you before. I've explained it in a different podcast talking about religion. The teapot problem is this sort of thought experiment that's, so let's say that I am saying that for sure there is a teapot orbiting Mercury. There's no way to really check, because to try and get a telescope all the way over there in a very small, refined space, something as small as a teapot, is very difficult to find. And on what axis is orbiting Mercury? Is it even actually orbiting Mercury? Maybe it's just orbiting the sun near Mercury. But I'm saying that definitely there is a teapot orbiting Mercury. There's no way to disprove that claim.
Right.
There's no way to really prove that claim.
Isn't that the same as like Schrodinger's cat in a way?
Yes and no.
Okay.
No, because you actually did put the cat in the box.
Okay, that's fair. But I'm meaning more
But-
of the whole like, is it dead or is it alive kind of thing.
Right. Well,
Is the teapot really there or not?
yeah. Well, if I just fabricated this out of nothing,
Yeah.
and I just say, like, there's a teapot there,
Mhm.
and there's no way to disprove it, then it doesn't matter if the teapot is there or not. But you could do this with anything.
Right.
And so you can say, oh, the world is flat, everyone is lying to us, and you can make up every single excuse to make your thing the correct thing.
Oh yeah.
Um,
If you
But-
say enough to like prove it, you start believing in it. Wasn't that something that we talked about?
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That if you tell yourself something long enough, yeah, it starts to become true.
Mhm.
And that kind of goes in part with memory as well.
Mhm.
Every time that we remember something, our brains are literally recreating it.
Right.
There's no memory really stored in like your neurons per se. It's every time that you recall it, you're sort of reconstructing it. And so you might leave something out or add something new. And
Mm-hmm.
you're remembering it differently. And every time that you remember something, you're changing a little bit.
So there's no way to accurately remember anything really because human memory kind of sucks. So the best way is to
Full loop.
like take a picture.
Yeah.
Write it down because
once you put something in the physical world, it is then provable.
Mm-hmm.
So at the same time,
question everything. Ask questions. It's good to dig into conspiracy theories and go, ooh, what's happening here? Is
Mhm.
this true? Is this not true? But also ask questions of those people who are asking questions.
Yeah.
So it's like, I just quote from Chris Ryan, or he quotes someone else, which is, seek out those who seek out answers,
Mhm.
and question those and be suspicious of those who have claimed to have found the answers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, cool, it's good to ask questions and seek out the truth. But as soon as someone goes, I know everything, I know what this is, and this
Mhm.
is what it is, you should be very suspicious of that person because no one actually knows anything.
Right.
We could all be a brain in a vat. We could all be in a simulation. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we're all just one person just having different thoughts at the same time.
Cool. Whatever works for you. Teapot.
Right.
Yeah. Sable, thank you for agreeing to spend the rest of your life with me.
Aw.
But also for doing this podcast.
Of course.
It was a lot of fun.
It was.
Hopefully people didn't go crazy and are going to suddenly start being flat earthers. Hopefully not. I think
Hopefully
it's
the government's going to come after
silly.
us.
Yeah.
And continue bugging our phones because they always do.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, what?
if you don't hear any more podcasts after this, you know what happened.
Yep.
But seriously, question everything.
Yeah. And again, this was all just for fun conversation. Nothing of this is like factual. I mean, you can definitely go out and do your own research, but like these are all just theories. They're just ideas.
So where can we find you and your things?
You can find me mainly on Instagram at SableAnn_creations.
Yep.
Where you'll find a lot of my stuff, primarily all my artwork. And through that, you'll find like more ways to find me.
Yeah.
I also want to do like a huge shout out again to Shane Dawson, who's been the huge inspiration behind this.
It's not like he needs the plug, but here you go.
Well, I love him and I want to give him credit where credit is due.
Credit is there.
Yes. So big shout out to him for the inspiration. Love you. And yeah. And
we're also both in Solstice cosplay.
Oh yeah.
So anytime I have a
Shout out.
Solstice member on here,
We're making plans to do
Yeah.
stuff. So keep an eye out. Go
Yeah.
find us on Facebook.
yeah, facebook.com/solstice cosplay group.
Yep.
I remember that mess. Check out the newest skit that we did for TNT this year.
Whoop, whoop.
It's on YouTube. You can watch that. But yeah,
So now and your thing.
Yeah, I'm Santiago Ramones.
I'm Sable.
You can find everything that I do on my website, santiagoramones.com. I make music, which you can download for free or not free. You can pay however much money you want for that, which is my demo, Songs with Words. And you can also listen to this podcast and leave reviews or leave ratings or leave comments.
Yes, I want to see the comments for this one for sure.
You can listen to it through Apple Podcasts, through Stitcher, on YouTube, or you can listen to it straight through my website, santiagoramones.com. I always end my podcast with my 3 things. They shape my life philosophy. Those 3 things are: love never fails, it's going to be okay, I might be wrong.
Bye.